Today, we welcome Reverend Pat Zogar, a special friend here at Unity and within the Unity movement. And Pat's ministry began in 2001. She's taught at spiritual centers in Victoria, Winnipeg, and Kamloops, and most recently at Unity of Vancouver Island, where she served as the senior minister before handing the torch over to Reverend Thomas DeShooter. Please now join me giving a warm Unity of Vancouver welcome to Pat Zogar.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It's so good to be with you. I wish you could be here together and we could all be hugging. I'm just grateful for the winter we've had so far. This is the first snow. We made it all the way to February. So there we go. This morning, I'd like to share with you, I don't know if you remember back in 1986, John Randolph Price wrote the Planetary Commission. And that was based on the expectation of some kind of special convergence of all the stars and planets that would make it a propitious time. And we were all to meditate together at noon Greenwich Meridian time, which in our time zone was 4 a.m. And we did that for a few years. We got up at 3 and met at 4 and had a meditation and then had breakfast, and that was great. And it's kind of fallen off in recent years. But since it's still early in the new year, I'd like to share that meditation with you this morning. So this is from John Randolph Price, The Planetary Commission, and this is the World Healing Meditation. So I invite you to just relax as appropriate for you, wherever you are, being comfortable, and just allowing your body to be breathed and knowing your body is perfectly safe and secure right where you are. And just allow yourself to gently listen to this meditation as the words flow through your body and through your cells and through your mind and heal. So now is the time of the new beginning. I am a co-creator with God, and it is a new heaven that comes as the goodwill of God is expressed on earth through me. It is the kingdom of light, love, peace, and understanding, and I am doing my part to reveal its reality. I begin with me. I am a living soul, and the Spirit of God dwells in me as me. I and the Father are one, and all that the Father has is mine. In truth, I am the Christ of God. What is true of me is true of everyone, for God is all, and all is God. I see only the Spirit of God in every soul. And to every man, woman, and child on earth, I say, I love you, for you are me. You are my holy self. I now open my heart and let the pure essence of unconditional love pour out. I see it as a golden light radiating from the center of my being, and I feel its divine vibration in and through me, above and below me. I am one with the light. I am filled with the light. I am illumined by the light. I am the light of the world. With purpose of mind, I send forth the light. I let the radiance go before me to join the other lights. I know this is happening all over the world at this moment. I see the merging lights. There is now one light. We are the light of the world. The one light of love, peace, and understanding is moving. It flows across the face of the earth, touching and illuminating every soul in the shadow of the illusion. And where there was darkness, there is now the light of reality. And the radiance grows, permeating, saturating every form of life. There's only the vibration of one perfect life now. All the kingdoms of the earth respond, and the planet is alive with light and love. There is total oneness. And in this oneness, we speak the word. Let the sense of separation be dissolved. Let humankind be returned to Godkind. Let peace come forth in every mind. Let love flow forth from every heart. Let forgiveness reign in every soul. Let understanding be the common bond. And now from the light of the world, the one presence and power of the universe responds. The activity of God is healing and harmonizing planet Earth. Omnipotence is made manifest. I am seeing the salvation of the planet before my very eyes, as all false beliefs and error patterns are dissolved. The sense of separation is no more. The healing has taken place, and the world is restored to sanity. This is the beginning of peace on earth and goodwill toward all, as love flows forth from every soul, and all hearts and minds are one in perfect understanding. It is done, and so it is. So I invite you to bring your consciousness back to time and place now, and when you're ready, open your eyes. Stronger together. So again, this is February. The 12 powers are assigned one to each month, as you probably know. And the power for February is strength. So most of you would be aware, I'm sure, that Charles Fillmore taught that we all have innate within us 12 powers that we can activate and access simply with our intention. Now, I don't know whether he said simply with our intention or not, but that's what I take from. So each of the 12 powers, excuse me, is associated with one of Jesus' 12 disciples, and also is assigned a certain location in our physical bodies, and a color, and a month. Now, to be honest, I don't know how all that came to Charles Fillmore, just intuitive, I think. And I suppose it doesn't matter all that much. But more, the 12 colors just give us a really pretty candle lighting service, don't they? And it helps me to remember to associate those colors and the months that these powers are assigned to. So, strength. We think strength mostly is physical. That's the first thing we think of when we say strength. And we know we have many ways to increase and improve our physical strength, such as a great diet with lots of protein and good exercise, and maybe such extreme measures as weightlifting. And we have mental strength, which includes common sense, logic, and intelligence. And we can improve our mental strength too by reading, doing puzzles, memory work. And then there's spiritual strength. And the metaphysical definition of strength is the energy of God, freedom from weakness, stability of character, power to withstand temptation, and capacity to accomplish. It all sounds pretty good, doesn't it? And Charles Fillmore said, we have often had our attention called to the illustration of the chain being as strong as its weakest link and no stronger. He says exactly the same is true of man. If you have a weak link in the chain of your thought, your whole character will take on that weakness. So the reason Charles Fillmore developed this idea of the 12 powers was to demonstrate to us that we have tools that we can use, that we can call upon when we have a challenge. And I believe that we actually do need to make that call. We must actively identify and consciously call upon the power or powers that can help us with the particular challenge that we're facing. So for instance, you're going into a meeting where you're going to try and resolve a dispute with someone. You want to have power, the power of strength, because part of the power of strength is perseverance and resolve. But you want to go in with something else too. And if you stop and think about that, the other power that might help you in that situation might be understanding. So before you go into the meeting, consciously stop and connect and activate the power of strength and the power of understanding. Write a prescription for yourself. Apply understanding liberally 3 times a day and stand in the awareness of your inner strength. And then follow that prescription. So to build your physical strength, you build up, you work out, you do exercises and go for runs and exercise your muscles and build them up. Building spiritual strength is similar, but it's done on the inside, because building and strengthening your spiritual strength activates your spirit and that connection to the divine from within, giving you the power that you need to live a life of purpose and fulfillment. Now, I know you come to Unity, you probably already have purpose and fulfillment in your life, but that spiritual exercise building will just make life that much sweeter. And it gives you, you know how you get after a physical workout, you get that feeling of lightness and the energy just flowing through your body? Exercising your spiritual strength will do the same. The energy will flow more freely. The feelings of love and positivity will just flow through your being. Negative thoughts will be forgotten, and negative experiences will diminish. So I found online some recommended spiritual exercises. There are 7 of them. The first is a little surprising, but very appropriate. The first way to exercise your spiritual strength is to spend more time with loving, encouraging family and friends. You don't usually think about that as being a spiritual exercise, but it is, because it takes you to that place of love and support. Second spiritual exercise is to go outside as much as possible. And we all know we feel more connected in nature, don't we? So make the time to do that. The third spiritual exercise is to reduce distractions. TV, radio, internet, newspaper. Reduce. We don't need most of that. And they distract us and keep us from being present, don't they? The fifth spiritual exercise is to step out in faith. Now, it's interesting that faith is the first power in the 12 powers. It's the January power. Faith comes first. Keep reminding yourself that and step out. And the sixth exercise for spiritual power is being of service to others. And when you're serving others, isn't that the most satisfying time? Isn't that the time when you feel best? And then the 7th spiritual exercise is to make prayer and meditation a habit. And of course, we know that we need to make that consistent and daily. You don't have to meditate at the same time every day, but every day you need some of your time turned to quiet contemplation, meditation, or prayer. So that was his 7 suggestions. And I'd like to offer another one. Another way to develop spiritual power for me is to practice acceptance, non-resistance, because resistance causes persistence. We really shouldn't fight anything. Jesus said, with this lovely quote, "But I say unto thee, that you resist not evil, but whosoever shall smite thee on thy right cheek, turn to him the other also. And if any man will sue thee at the law, and take away thy coat, let him have thy cloak also. And whosoever shall compel thee to go a mile, go with him twain. Give to him that asketh thee, and from him that would borrow of thee, turn thou not away." That is a big, big, big order, isn't it? Especially for people who live like we live in the values that our culture promotes. You know, I like Charles Filmer was an innovator at reinterpreting the Bible to make it more relevant to our times. And I like that. But this is one Bible quote that I do not want reinterpreted. I used to try to reinterpret it so it wouldn't be difficult. So we wouldn't really have to offer the other cheek to be smote or to give away our stuff. But now I want this to be taken literally. Of course, it's not going to be easy and it's not going to be fair, but it just might work. Wouldn't that be the way to disarm, to defuse an attempted evil? A person cannot steal that which I give to them. Resistance. We hear a lot, these days about bullying, and we want to punish the bullies. And I hark back to when I was 13 years old and walking home from 8th grade, and one of my classmates was not far behind me, running towards me, dangling a snake, which he had the intention of putting down the back of my blouse. Yes, you've probably been there too. And I was as terrified as anyone, but somehow I instinctively knew that he wanted to get power over me. He wanted a reaction from me. And so I stood my ground and I stared him in the eye, and he ran off and chased somebody else. But that's what bullies do. They want to gain power over us. They want us to react. They want to control us. So when we do not respond, when we do not react, they can't take our power. And in fact, we take theirs. See, nobody can take our power from us unless we give it up, right? So anyway, back to the quote from Jesus. I read a blog about that quote, and it said, "So maybe it's not just about resisting, it might be about actually embracing what you resist, about not trying to fix or change or improve something, but about realizing it is all perfect, war and violence included." Now, anyone who knows me knows that I cannot watch a war movie or even a crime drama or have the Disney children's cartoons, because I cannot tolerate any violence at all. So for me to hear that, am I supposed to let war and violence be perfect? But I have to think that on some level it is. Because if, as we say, God is only good and there is only God, that means that everything is good, perfect, unfolding just as it should. What thinking, what beliefs do I have to revise in order for that to be true to me? To really grasp that there is only God and God is only good. On some level, I suspect that we are having experiences that we are supposed to have in order to learn what we're supposed to learn, a karmic sort of idea. And maybe the song is right. You don't always get what you want, but you get what you need. And I believe, again, on some level, that we always have choice. On some level. And I think about the proposition that I have heard that this physical life that we are experiencing now and seems so real to us is actually the dream. And the reality is on a different plane. I don't know, but I think about all those and I need to consider all those. For me, that's one of the huge benefits in being in unity and new thoughts is we have our minds open to consider alternatives and other ways of thinking and of doing. You know, I often hear people say they love coming to unity to meet with like-minded people. Actually, our minds are not alike at all. The only thing that's alike about our minds is that they're open to each other, because we're all thinking all sorts of different things, aren't we? Something one day, sometimes the next day. Our minds are not like at all, but they're only like because they're open to something new, to try new things, new ways of doing things, more loving ways of doing things, things that work better because we recognize the oneness of all of us. In Unity Vancouver Island, and I'm sure Unity of Vancouver as well, we try to operate on consensus. Now, consensus doesn't mean that we all agree. And we don't always get our first choice all the time, do we? But consensus means that we all get heard, that we listen to each other, and then we have a democratic vote. And consensus means that even if we did not vote with the majority, once the decision is made, we get on board, we support the majority, and we move forward together, stronger together. We don't start going around talking about how we disagreed with that. And that's the difference between consensus and democracy. Because sometimes democracy results in rule by the stupid, right? So doing the right thing doesn't always result in the result we think it should, but we should do the right thing anyway. I found this writing from Mother Teresa. She says, people are often unreasonable, illogical, and self-centered. Forgive them anyway. If you are kind, people may accuse you of selfish ulterior motives. Be kind anyway. If you are successful, you will win some false friends and some true enemies. Succeed anyway. If you are honest and frank, people may cheat you. Be honest and frank anyway. What you spend years building, someone could destroy overnight. Build anyway. If you find serenity and happiness, they may be jealous. Be happy anyway. The good you do today, people will often forget tomorrow. Do good anyway. Give the world the best you have, and it may never be enough. Give the best you've got anyway. You see, in the final analysis, it is between you and God. It was never between you and them anyway. So we know that in every life, there are going to be things that we don't like, things that we're too scared to do, things that we're too tired to do, things that we just don't want to do. When we do it anyway, we become more of what we can be. Again, strength includes the aspect of perseverance. Persevere, hang in there, be steadfast. I have an auntie who was very special to me. In fact, she was the one who introduced me to New Thought. And she had been active in her church for 30, 40 years. She'd done it all, you know, bookstore, welcoming, volunteer coordinator, everything. And then all of a sudden she up and stopped going to church because she didn't like the new minister. She didn't know why she didn't like the new minister. He just wasn't as good as the old one. So she stopped going. And I would say to her, Auntie, go anyway. Just go for a social hour, go to a book study, just keep in touch with your friends. And finally, after months, she did. She went back. And guess what? 2 years later, she married the new minister. Hang in there. Do it anyway. Persevere, be strong, use your power of strength. There is a story I heard. The story is about everybody, somebody, anybody, and nobody. There was an important job to be done, and everybody was sure that somebody would do it. Anybody could have done it, but nobody did it. Somebody got angry about that because it was everybody's job. Everybody thought anybody could do it, but nobody realized that everybody wouldn't do it. So it ended up that everybody blamed somebody when nobody did what anybody could have done. Do it anyway. So another roadblock for us, besides I don't like it and I don't want to, is I'm too tired. Ever been too tired to do something? And did you do it anyway? Take the first step. I remember decades ago when I was a young mom with 3 kids and a full-time job. It seems like I was always tired. And we lived in a rather shoddily built house. And after we'd been there for a couple of years, I noticed it had the shower stall had those little 1-inch by 2-inch tiles. And after a couple of years, I noticed the tiles needed to be cleaned. And I didn't want to. I was too tired, but I knew it had to be done. So I said, okay, I'll start it today. I'll do a row or 2. So I stepped into the shower with my toothbrush and I began to scrub. And after I finished a row, I said, well, I can do another row. And then I can do another row and another and another. And I just kept saying, okay, you can do a little more. One more tile, one more tile. And eventually I got it all done. And that seems like such a small thing to remember, 50 years later. But it's a highlight of my life, not because I had a clean shower, but because I pushed myself well beyond what I imagined I could do. And I rose up to be more than I thought I could be. When I was in high school, I was active in a lot of sports, but I couldn't run. I played basketball, and in those days, basketball, you dribble, you can take 2 steps with each dribble, but women were only allowed to bounce twice in those days. So we didn't build up a lot of stamina. So when the gym teacher told us to go outside one day and run around the track, I was a little nonplussed. And about a quarter of the way around, I found myself lying on the grass, gasping for air. I could not run. And it was for the next 30 years, I lived out of that truth for myself that I can't run. Until I fell in love with a runner. And his life was about running. Weekends were running. But he taught me what nobody else had ever taught me, that runners know. They hit the wall, is what they call it. You run, you get out of breath, your muscles get all weak and tired, and you think you can't go on. But you're at the wall. And so you take one more step, and you take one more step. And eventually your breathing evens out and your muscles relax, and you can run. And I got practicing running a little further and a little further. And I got so that when we went to races once a month, I was doing the Island Series, 5, 10, and 15-kilometer races. And I was bringing home trophies, not because I was first in, but because I was always the last in. But I was the only woman my age group stupid enough to run. So I brought all these trophies home. But it's such a great feeling. It's something that for most of my life I thought I couldn't do. I was not only doing, but I was succeeding. So we're tired. Do it anyway. So you don't want to. Do it anyway. And it's the same with fear. So you're afraid? Do it anyway. You've heard the phrase, feel the fear and do it anyway. Fear is like a puppy dog. It will follow you anywhere. And it constantly wants to be fed. And it'll pee all over the place. But a puppy can be trained. Once it knows that you're the alpha, you're in charge, It will come when you call it. It will eat when you feed it, and it'll even poop when you tell it to. You can take charge of your fear as well. And, sometimes it's good to take it along with you if there's actually something to be afraid of. But it's not a good idea to feed your fear. Keep feeding it. Fear can be tamed. You can take charge of it. That is spiritual strength. So tuck it under your arm and bring it along if you like, but keep it under control. Do it anyway. It's going to be all right. Activate your power of strength. Keep it under control. And activate your power of faith too. Again, faith comes first. Activate that faith in yourself and the strength within you and bring it along. Reverend Dr. Paul Hasselback calls the power of strength the persevering power, facilitating our capacity to stand steadfast in the face of challenge or adversity, to endure and persevere over the longer term towards our creative and spiritual goals. So we can activate our power of strength with a prayer or with a meditation or an affirmation. Sometimes it's just a matter of stopping and breathing and saying, I am strong. The divine strength of the universe is present in my life. I got the power of strength. It helps me stay even when it seems something's in my way. My body is strong. All my cells are pure. All my organs and systems strong and secure. My mind is strong, full of common sense, and my intellect is quite immense. And my strength of spirit lets me plod along, because in every challenge I bring God along. And so it is. Namaste.
Thank you so much, Reverend Pat Zogar. What a incredible service you've given us today, and we so appreciate your captivating talk and how amazing you're able to bring foundational principle into practice. It is very, very much appreciated. So a couple of things. This week, if you can please watch for our in-person classes, and we will be sending out our weekly email and also at unityofvancouver.org just to get any updates if there are any changes with in-person classes today. And we also want to remind you that we have our wonderful Rabbi Laura, who is going to be here with us next week. And Rabbi Laura is an amazing individual. She is a soul teacher. She runs very deep into the depths of what we all understand as our mystic world. And she's going to be speaking about the Kabbalah, the mystic insights and practices. And most of you know the Kabbalah. It is a school of thought in Jewish mysticism, and it is the teachings that are held to define the inner meaning of sacred literature and their concealed dimensions. Rabbi Laura is always wonderful, as many of you know, and she will be sharing these mystical insights drawn from the Kabbalah that enable a more direct experience of the divine. So please be sure to join us for that. So together, let us say our prayer for protection. All together now, the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Now, we wish you a most glorious day. Go out and do something wonderful